Mm-hmm. All right. Man, I am not feeling it today, but we're gonna try to get through this. This has been fun. You know, I usually don't like doing text like this. Like I said, because I don't feel any sympathy for any of these characters, and if I take it seriously, then it can be disgusting. Um, but seeing this text in the light of Moses and the Torah, um, it's really fun to do because I think we can really see huge differences between Moses' beliefs and these Canaanite beliefs.
Present thy petitions with thy music, and he will consent to all. Straightway the hero, El-Ha'u, his lance in his hand doth take, his spear in his right hand, and sets out.
So if you've been watching these, I think I know where you probably know where we're at. But for those of you who don't know, we're now talking about Keret's sons and daughters, and Keret's sick, um, and do do do. um, so Elha or whatever, the hero is Keret's son.
Run. Even as he arrives, it grows dark. His sister has kindled a lamp. His lance upon the threshold he stands. Its sheen lights up the gateway. As soon as she beholds her brother, her loins to the ground do break. Upon her brother's neck she weeps. Is then the king sick, or thy...
Okay. Wow, Kohan. I mean, Kohan's doing a great job here. Now he's picking up on female voices, so this will be interesting. Um, his spear in his right hand and sets out on a run. Even as he arrives, it grows dark. His sister kindled a lamp. His lance upon the threshold he stands. Its sheen lights up the gateway as soon as she beholds her brother. I mean, these are some good lines, you know. Um, yeah, no, this is some, these aren't boring words.
Sire, Keret ill? And the hero El-Ha'u replied, the king is not sick. Thy sire, Keret, is not ill. Keret is making a sacrifice. The king is preparing a banquet. And the maiden, and a woman, thy brother, now she, and cries, she gives to drink, now she, and the mixed drink, now she, and she approaches her brother and asks, why dost thou deceive me, my brother? How many moons have thee been sick? How many hath Keret been ill? And the hero El-Ha'u replies, 3 moons hath he been sick, 4 hath Keret been ill. Keret, now she, gate, to know, and her brother.
Okay, so that was obviously some broken text. um, I mean, why does he lie to his sister, right, about their father's sickness? Maybe he doesn't want to worry her because she's a weak woman. Again, this is a very patriarchal society. So that's what he's thinking, right? Um, but yeah, no. So let's continue.
The hero Al-Ha'u, now she weeps bitterly. She gives forth her voice in weeping. In thy life, our Father, we rejoice, exult in thy not dying. Like a dog, thine aspect is changed, like a hound, thy joyous countenance. Wilt thou die, then, Father, like the mortals? Or thy joy change to weeping, to a woman's dirge? O Father, my song? Or do gods die? The offspring of the kindly one shall surely live. For thee, Father, weeps the mount of Baal Zaphon in the sacred circuit. The mighty circuit laments, the circuit broad of span. Is then Keret the son of El, an offspring of the kindly one, and the holiness? As though she enters into her father's presence, she enters the chamber of Keret. With two things she took her stand, weepers, the mount, he wails, wheel. They pour oil, earth and sky turn to the of the earth, to the of the plowland. Unto the earth Baal reigned, and unto the field reigned Aliyah. Sweet to the earth was the reign of Baal, and to the field the reign of Alian. 'Twas sweet to the wheat in the plowland, in the tilth to the emmer. The plowmen raised their heads, upwards the grower of corn. Spent is the bread corn from their jars, spent the wine from their bottles, spent the oil from their jugs. Keret's house. In
Okay. Um. I mean, like if we compare this to the Lamentations of and the depiction of women in the Lamentations of as opposed to the depiction of women in this Legend of Keret. Um, in the Lamentations of like that was a powerful book, um, because you have the representation of the goddess of and she is standing strong, besieging her own city, right? Um, this is a woman who stands strong, um, though the waves and the wind and the rain are blowing. Um, but the women of are like pulling their hair out and running around chaotically, and they're not. There's this criticism of the Urite society at the time by this author, and he's basically saying this is why fell, because the women became weak, right? And they used to be strong like this goddess. And there's these beautiful lines where the goddess is like saying that she feels like a ghost within her own territory. Um, anyways, but I mean, and this goes back to nobility, right? This is Keret the noble. Um, but like he's hiding his sickness from others, right? Um, I guess he doesn't want to show weakness around others, right? But how is being sick weakness, right? We've all been sick, and to get through a nasty sickness, once you get to the other side, you kind of feel good about yourself. You survived. Um, So it's like this is a very 3D materialistic world that these people are living in here. And I mean, what makes this woman noble? She's I mean, yeah, it's sad to lose a loved one. Um but you know, this goddess of uh would not have it ruin her, right? Um to secondly, like, who are the listeners here, right? The listeners are going to be the Canaanites, right? You're going to have the nobility at the top who are listening to this, and then you're going to have the people at the bottom, right? So it says right here, uh, enter the plowmen, raise their heads, right? Or Emmer, I don't know, raised their heads, right? So this is suggestive language, and there's plowmen who are listening to this stuff, right? And there's listeners who grow corn, right? Um, you know, probably to get wine is expensive, or maybe, and so when you drink the last of it, so this author is getting in. What I'm saying is, like, in some of these lines, I think the author's getting inside the heads of his listeners. And I think he's probably doing. Sounds like he's doing a pretty good job. Um, but that's another thing about it. It's like we have to question the author of this, right? What does the author of this uh, think about his own characters, right? Because this author seems to know human nature pretty good. Um, Seems to be a pretty good writer, fairly good, right? And um, I mean, again, there's a lot broken off, lost in translation, maybe, and all that stuff. But uh, though I don't have any sympathy with these characters, um, the author still does a good job trying to paint a pig pretty, I guess, right? Um, so I mean, you have to think about the image of the pyramid, right? What do you see in the pyramid? You see a pyramid that has a flat top, right? And this is poetic imagery, right? This pyramid is poetic imagery, and we might see that in this text, right? Um, and so, like, let's say that you're at the top of this flat pyramid, right? Well, if you're at the top of this flat pyramid, then you're at the top, right? You're at the top. Boom, right? But when you go back on the image, you see that there's a space in between the top of the pyramid with the eyeball and the lower part of the pyramid. And so, it doesn't sound like, it sounds like Keret and these quote unquote nobility might be the top of the pyramid. Well, it could be the priesthood and the author of this, and possibly even some of the nobility. Um, so it's like a secret society, basically, within their own society. And I think that's the image of the pyramid that we could be possibly seeing here, because Carrot is like his sons die, so he gets sad. So he's gonna get out of his sadness by going and killing some folk, right? Um, does he's not like the healthiest of men.
Like El, wisdom like the bull, the kindly one, call the carpenter god Elish. Elish and his wives the carpenter goddesses. He calls the carpenter god Elish. Elish, the carpenter of the house of Baal, and his wives the carpenter goddesses. And the kindly one, El Benignant, declares, Hearken, O carpenter god, Elish, carpenter of the house of Baal, and thy wives, the carpenter goddesses, go up on top of the structure, upon the platform, table, buffalo. A second time, a third time, then spake the kindly one, El Benignant, who among the gods can remove the sickness, driving out the malady? None among the gods answered him. El says a fourth time, who among the gods can remove the illness, driving out the malady? None among the gods answers him. He says a fifth time, who among the gods can remove the illness, driving out the malady? None among the gods answer him. He says a sixth, a seventh time, who among the gods can remove the illness, driving out the malady? None among the gods answers him. Then spake the kindly one, El Benignant, remain seated, my sons, upon your seats.
Okay. Wow. This thing took a turn, right? We all of a sudden we got into um the carpenter god and his carpenter goddesses, right? So like again we see this polygamous stuff. And so this is total aristocracy type stuff here. Uh So I mean, there's this break, I guess, between um, what's happening here, and then all this stuff that comes after. But this is also like really posh stuff, right? This is really like this is the party to be at, where the carpenter god and goddesses are. Um, Second time, a third time. Okay, so this repetition stuff, this is L, um, like repetition like this, it creates dissonance in the listener, and so he's like psychologically like beating these people down. He's like, answer me, bitches, right? And no one can. So he's establishing his authority. He's just like, boom. It's kind of funny. Um, that's kind of how I see this. I don't know. But I mean, are they talking about the malady that Keret has? Maybe. Let's see.
Upon your thrones of princeship, I will apply sorcery and will surely compass the removal of the illness, driving out the malady. With clay, his hand he fills, with goodly clay he molds. Dragon! Dragon! A cup he takes in his hand, a flagon in both his hands. Do thou, Shatakat, Keret the noble, in the mouth of Shatakat. Villages fly over 100 towns, fly over a multitude. Sickness, the suffering one upon his head. Death, do thou be broken, Shatakat. Do thou prevail, and so Shatakat departs into Keret's house she goes. Bakat she penetrates and enters. Nasrat she enters to its innermost recesses. Towns she flies over 100. Villages she flies over a multitude. The invalid she, the suffering one upon his or her head, and proceeds to wash him clean of sweat. His desire for bread she opens, his appetite for food. Death on the one hand is broken, Shatagat on the other has prevailed. And Keret the noble commands, raising his voice and calling, "Hearken, O Lady Horia, prepare a lamb that I may eat, a youngling that I may dine." Lady Horia hearkens. She prepares a lamb and he eats, a youngling and he dines. Behold, a day and a second Keret returns to his former estate. He sits upon the throne of kingship, upon the dais, the seat of authority. Yasib also sits in the palace, and his inward parts do instruct him. "Go unto thy father, Yasib, go unto thy father and speak. Repeat unto Keret the noble, list and incline thy ear, for, and thou let thy hand fall into mischief. Thou didst use to judge the cause of the widow, to adjudicate the case of the wretched. Sith thou art to become a brother of the bed of sickness, a companion of the bed of suffering. Descend from the kingship. I will be king. In thine authority I will sit." Yasib the lad departs. Into his father's presence he enters. He lifts up his voice and cries, "Hearken, I pray thee, O Keret, the noble, list and incline thine ear, for, and thou hast let thy hand fall into mischief. Thou didst use to judge the cause of the widow, to adjudicate the case of the wretched, to drive out them that prey upon the poor, that feed upon before thee the orphan, behind thy back the widow. Sith thou art to become a brother of the bed of sickness, a companion of the bed of suffering. Descend from the kingship. I will be king. In thine authority I will sit." And Keret the noble makes answer, "May Horon break, O my son, may Horon break." "Thy head, Ashtar, to name of Baal, thy pate, mayst thou fall into." And that is the text of the Tale of Keret, the Legend of King Keret, the Canaanite epic of Ugarit.
All right, that's it. All right, let's see here. So, Carrot gets healed, I guess, by the gods. And then he's confronted by his son, who was wanting to take over after his dad died. So he's like disappointed that his dad is alive. But he walks up to him and he says, "Hey, you know what? You're not doing a good job as king. Like, there's all this bad stuff happening, right?" And so you have to, ask yourself: is the son telling the truth? Like, is all this injustice starting to happen in society? Um, because you're a narcissistic asshole, right? Um, but at one point in time, he probably did judge it. He just doesn't care right now, and the son does care, right? Or you could say that the son is just making up lies uh, in order to overthrow his father. I don't know. But yeah, no. The writing is great on here. I think pretty good uh, stuff. And this has been fun.